you get bored in welding, you're doing something wrong. My name's Travis Edmonds. I work in the applications department. I'm a welding technologist. I specialize in engine drives, stick electrode, kind of cross-country pipeline applications. When I first started here, I just needed a job, a good paying job, benefits. But now that I've been here 17 years, it's more than just that. I found a career. My older brother, he went off to college. My parents were looking at me like, okay, what's the big step here? What are you gonna do? And I knew I could have gone to college, but for me, and even looking back, it would have been a waste of time for me. Another job opportunity came up to be in weld services, and I interviewed for that, and they said, you know, you're gonna be welding all day, every day. And I said, okay, I'm in, I wanna do that. And that was one of the best positions I had here, was welding test plates for weld services, making really good money and really learning a skill that I didn't realize, but to this day I still use. I always want to be challenged. I don't want to be stagnant and not learn and not grow. I'm sure there's going to be new things that will come up within the next 20 years that I don't even know about that might spark my interest, but I know I'll be able to be in this skilled trade for the rest of my career. I know that for sure. I've always been into Toyotas and trucks and off-roading. This is a res fabrication, primarily focused on Toyota truck off-road parts, bumpers, rock sliders, skid plates. It's a great place to go to after work to weld and also become part of the culture. Ran into Mike in some local trails around here, became friends with him, and then he posted a job. He needed some help welding on the side at night. And so then I inquired about it and started working for Mike. It was at his house out of a 2-car garage. So you have your off-roading culture and your welding culture kind of merged into one. So if I see somebody that shows an interest here at Lincoln or outside of work, I really want to help them and kind of boost them and give them the knowledge to kind of get them off to a fast start. It does take some coordination. It's not easy work, it's hot work. So you do have to tolerate some sparks here and there. If you wear the proper PPE, it's not a concern. There's steps you can take to eliminate that. You have a 4-year degree, you're gonna have a lot of debt. You might be able to pay that off over time, but with a skilled trade like welding, you can jump right into it. Certainly say if a younger person out of school maybe comes and inquires about welding, I think it's a great avenue to get into because there's so many directions you can take. You can be a shop welder, make good money doing it. And again, you can also grow and move up in the skilled trade of welding. It's really endless what you can do with it. Once I flip the hood down, everything else goes black and I'm in my element. I know what to do as soon as I strike that arc. It's okay, this is easy. This is welding, I know what I'm doing.
For decades, millions of workers have been losing ground, blocked from jobs they have the skills to do. Opportunity at Work partnered with many of these workers to elevate their stories and create an affirming name for this category of talent, STARS. At over 70 million strong, STARS reflect the full breadth and diversity of talent in America. We've proven that STARS have valuable skills. Over 30 million are qualified for higher wage work today, but are blocked by the paper ceiling. But it wasn't always this way. In 2000, STARS filled 60% of good-paying jobs. Since then, they've filled just 12% of new ones. The health of our economy, not just for workers, but for businesses, depends on changing this. And the first tears in the paper ceiling are showing. Companies publicly touting workforce programs to hire STARS. States passing skills-first policies to open up pathways to STARS. And STARS themselves are proudly declaring themselves STARS. Now, Opportunity at Work's new STAR Mobility Compass shows us how we can truly break through. It points to 3 areas for collective action that, together, can move 10 million STARS into higher-paying jobs by 2030. 3 million stars can access greater upward mobility if we focus skills-first practice change on just 30 jobs. 5 million stars move up by raising wages in just 5 jobs that currently undervalue stars' skills. And another 2 million stars succeed by filling new-to-world jobs that tap stars' skills in critical roles for businesses in growth industries. The labor market is at a crossroads. Down one path, the status quo holds back millions of skilled workers. Down another, we create more opportunities for everyone by taking action on a simple truth: that the skills you have matter more than where you got them. We have the data, the tools, and the proof. Now it's time to accelerate change together.
Literally everything around you was probably produced by a tool that a tool and die maker made. My name's Tony Tinge, and I'm a tool and die maker at Lincoln Electric. And I grew up in the 80s, like a lot of kids, I was interested in video games. I never really got into hands-on until I got into the workforce, and then that's when it really just clicked for me. It was money motivated, honestly. When I first got out of high school, I wasn't making a lot of money, and then I figured I could come here, and Lincoln's reputation really brought out that if you're a hard worker, you can make a lot of money. I worked here for 6 years, had no clue what tool and die was. I used the fixtures, I used a lot of stuff that the tool room produced, but it never really clicked to where it came from. I wanted to try to settle down and have a family, more of a normal lifestyle. I bid on the apprenticeship for tool and die maker, and I got accepted. I graduated with honors from my high school, but I don't believe you need to be a so-called bookworm to get into this field. As a tool and die maker, we learn from the day you start to the day you retire. As tool and die makers, we create something out of nothing. So we will take blank pieces of steel and turn them into tools that will either mold plastic parts or stamp metal parts. Tool and die is, if you ask me, one of the more unknown skill-based careers. Everyone's heard of electricians, everyone's heard of mechanics, everyone's heard of millwrights. There is a huge need for tool and die makers in the future, just because there's not a lot of people going into it. A lot of people don't know this, but the average age of a tool and die maker is 50 years old. You need to have a strong math background. No, I'm not talking calculus, but we do trigonometry on a regular basis. But the nice thing about that is technology. So we have access to computers with CAD programming. So if you need to trig out an angle, there's devices that can help you do that. Now, you do have to have a strong work ethic too. And you have to have a passion in order to want to do things correctly and to have a passion to do things, the right way. You can make extremely good money being a tool and die maker, and that's just not well known. As long as you're willing to work, you have to be willing to work. That's the thing. You will get dirty. I'm not gonna lie. This is a job where you're gonna get dirty, and you're gonna have to use your hands, and you're gonna work long hours. But it's rewarding. The nice thing about tool and die is you can literally go anywhere in the world and do this trade and be successful and make good money. As far as the support structure goes, when students come into the trade, especially as an apprentice, there was always a seasoned, normally a Class A tool and die maker with you. So you are never ever by yourself here. The future of tool and die, in my opinion, there's always going to be a need. You hear a lot about technology, and there's a lot of computers coming out and a lot of machines come out that you don't need an operator to run. But you will always need a tool and die maker to fix things. There's a lot of things that you just go about in your everyday life that you don't think about where it came from. It came from us.
Well, when I turned 16, my dad was on me to get a job. So that's the reason that I started in restaurants. And I just liked the environment, I liked the atmosphere, and I liked the hyper focus of the other cooks. And I like the pace of it, and I like the chaos of it. And it just drew me in, and I stayed. And the rest is history, I guess. Then when I graduated from Kirkwood, worked in a few restaurants in the Iowa City area, then ended up moving to Colorado and then out to California for a few years, just to learn all things food, I like to be on the move, and I like to be moving, and that's kind of one huge perk of the restaurant industry, where you're not stationary or you're not sitting behind a desk. Everything is new every single day. So one day isn't like the last, where a lot of careers, you come in and do the same thing over and over and over again. With this job and with restaurant industry in general, you go to work and it's something new every day. Not one day is the same. That's a huge perk in my opinion. The training this job requires is a lot of multitasking. Being able to do 16 things at once, like I said, multitasking is the key to this industry for sure. Those are the skill sets we're looking for, and of course, above all else, work ethic, positive mental attitude. The beautiful thing about cooking, once you have the degree, you can get a job anytime, anywhere. Move anywhere in the world and you'll have a job within a week, I promise you that. There are accreditations you can get through American Culinary Federation, but that's not suited for every type of business. So if you were in a small restaurant, accreditations mean nothing. If you were to work in education or casinos or hotels or hospitals, there are accreditations you can get through American Culinary Federation that a lot of employers seek. You have to have the education plus the real world experience, absolutely. The restaurant industry is all kind of glitz and glamour. It's not what you see on television. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's greasy, it's tough work. And people call it culinary arts. There's some artistry involved, but it's more of a trade. On a given night, you're pumping out 300 meals. It's not an easy thing to do. But it's a huge perk. You get to see what you created, go out to a table, and you get to watch a customer eat it and be happy and enjoy themselves with other human beings. It's very rewarding in that regard. Culinary arts is in very high demand right now. Almost every restaurant that I can think of is hiring, even with minimal experience, and not a bad wage either to start, but the jobs are definitely out there. For a culinary graduate, salary to start, I would say probably in the $13 to $14 an hour range. So it's the experience that you get in culinary school. It's what I like to tell my students, the knowledge that you build up in 2 years of culinary school is probably equivalent to, I would say, 5 years on the job. There are a lot of options out there, and people absolutely do specialize. Some people go more the cooking route to become an executive chef of a restaurant. Other students go into hotel and casino, maybe go into banquet work. A lot of students graduate and become private chefs. Everyone's got to kind of find their niche. So coming to a community college, there's a huge bonus in that you graduate with under $20,000 in debt. You have the same degree in your pocket afterwards.
I'm good at this and I'm happy doing this. It doesn't feel like a job. I love cooking everything. I just want to keep trying new techniques, new styles, new flavors.
Culinary arts can be emotionally rewarding. You get to create every single day and you get to make others happy.